Award-winning author and poet Elizabeth Acevedo comes alive in the brand new illustrated book, Inheritance, a Visual Poem. It addresses Elizabeth's experience of being an Afro Latina and the traits and struggles she inherited through her racial and ethnic heritage. Elizabeth joins us to talk about her book. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Desiree. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on. And Elizabeth, your new illustrated book, Inheritance, a Visual Poem, covers your experiences as an Afro Latina. Tell us more about this book.
Yes, this book was one that initially began as a spoken word poem over 13 years ago when I was a senior in college. I was navigating a lot of comments about my then boyfriend who was Black American. And although even at the time I identified as Afro Latina, my family just didn't understand this reclamation of Blackness that I was doing within myself, and didn't understand what it would mean for future children if I aligned myself with someone who was Black American. Fast forward 13 years later, my then boyfriend is now my now husband. And we talk about children often. And so that poem has kind of become this new invitation of what I felt then about wanting to reclaim this self-love and wanting to find pride in my ancestors and not allowing anyone, not even a family member, to disparage who I come from, is something that I want to give to the world in this visual way, something they can hold and aunties can, read with their nieces and grandmas can read. And I want it to be this intergenerational love letter.
Yeah, and along with your storytelling, you wanted your book to be a visual experience. Can you tell us about the illustrations and imagery we can expect to see?
I mean, Andrea Pippins went far and beyond what I would have imagined an illustrator could have done. I think she really found different corners and pockets in my work to show the wide vastness of Blackness, of the ways that our skin tones can look, of the way our hair texture can be, of different styles. I just think folks are going to really find a feast for their eyes in terms of just so much love and tenderness, and also just beautiful color. And it's free form. She doesn't have a lot of lines. So you really get this freedom that I'm talking about in my words expressed through her imagery.
Yeah, and in your poem, you write, I wanna highlight a specific line you have in your poem. You say, "They tell me to fix my hair," and by fix they mean straighten, they mean whiten. Can you talk about this, because this is something a lot of minorities can relate to?
Yes, I mean, I think when you receive that message from a very young age that there's something about you need to fix, and those of us who grew up with curly hair or tight hair or kinky hair will often hear, right? Oh, it needs to be straightened. It needs to be aligned more with whiteness in order to be acceptable. It needs to be fixed. And I think for many of us, we grow up thinking that there's something broken if something has to be fixed about us. So for me, it was really a pushback on there's nothing broken about my natural body, and I'm not going to listen to those kinds of messages.
Yeah, and I think it's important that people consistently hear that type of messaging and the positivity behind it. What made you decide to write about the experience of living with Black hair?
Well, it really was that anger at being told, that why would I be with someone who was Black American and what would it mean for our future children? I think that one of the reasons that I decided to revise this poem after all of those years, though, is looking around and realizing that there are still young people who are suspended and expelled from school because they wear their hair in a fro, or they have locks, or they have braids, that we're still policing bodies, Black bodies, around what we believe is acceptable. I mean, it's only been the last year that the Crown Act has been passed, where people can wear their hair natural in whatever form they'd like in the workplace. For such a long time, you could be discriminated against, right? Because you had locks, or you had braids, or you were wearing your hair in a fro. And so I think that there's still a moment right now where we need to talk about self-love and what's happening in our homes, but also politically, what is legalized and what we consider illegal hair.
Well, Elizabeth, I'm excited for so many people to get their hands on your book. I think it's important that so many people are able to read it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And for Inheritance, a visual poem, it's available today wherever books are sold.